Hey, well, tonight I'm angry about the slippery slope, and what I'm talking about is the fact that when we agree to accommodations with our government, it seems that these accommodations are always turned against us, number one, and number two, the things that we agree to, because they seem to apply to only extreme edge cases, end up applying to us. Specifically, I'm talking about this most recent bill that just passed Congress that President Trump is apparently trying to veto. This bill would further criminalize streaming media electronically. As a matter of fact, you could face up to a 10-year prison sentence for streaming media. Now, they assure us this will not apply to us, this will only apply to commercial actors, but invariably these things get turned around against us. We agree to these things in principle because they seem reasonable. Next thing we know, we are the victims. I mean, RICO was supposed to be against organized criminals. Now it's against any kind of organization, far from the intent of the original statute. I have many other examples of the slippery slope, times that we did what seemed reasonable, only to find that our reasonableness was turned against us. Let's go back 100 years to the income tax. You know, the income tax in 1913, when it was first proposed, faced vehement opposition, as I'm sure you can imagine, but people were calmed somewhat by the thought that the tax was only 1% on incomes over $50,000 in today's dollars, and only 3% on incomes over $8 million in today's dollars. But within 5 years, the top rate was 77%. Let's look at another example of the slippery slope, the 9/11 attacks on American soil. We responded by saying that for our safety, we should give up some freedoms temporarily. Those freedoms are gone. We're going to have to fight to get them back as if we never had them. This is the slippery slope. We make small accommodations, and the next thing, these accommodations are used against us. Here's my last example, this COVID-19 epidemic. I remember earlier in the year, we were implored to flatten the curve, stay indoors for 2 weeks, and it seemed reasonable. We did it. We stayed indoors for 2 weeks. What happened after those 2 weeks? Were we rewarded for our obedience? No. We were told 2 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 4 more months. And here we are almost a year later, and we're still trapped indoors, and some states are even increasing their quarantine requirements. All of our efforts to live in peace with the state seem to be met with efforts on the state's part to further encroach upon our liberties. The state is relentless. Anytime there's a crisis, anytime there's any kind of a problem, the state is ready with legislation, with ideas to further restrict our freedoms or to increase the state's efficiency. This is not to our benefit. The state being efficient is not to our benefit, especially if the state is focusing its attention against us. We need to stand on principle more often. We need to demand that our rights not be withdrawn. We need to say that the government needs to live within the law. It's time to stop making these temporary accommodations. These temporary accommodations turn out to be permanent accommodations. We never get our rights back. If you let the nose of the camel under the tent, the camel will be in the tent in short order, and we've seen this over and over again. This streaming bill, this 10-year jail time for commercial actors, it's only a matter of time before the penalties for non-commercial streaming are increased. Please, let's stand up and wake up.